Shalom. This is Kabash Maya Sharala, and before I hop to today's lesson, I want to give all honor, glory, and praises to the Most High in the name of His Son, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, in the true Paleo Hebrew tongue. Ka, Halayim, La, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Ha, Rakah, Kodash, Ma'amaf. I want to give a double honor to the apostles and elders of GMS who rule well and teach well. I want to give a double honor to my elder apostle as well, Aaron Ban Yasharala, the Lions in Camp here in Jacksonville, Florida. And I want to say shalom to the Akim out of four corners of the globe, pushing their truth and sincerity. And with that being said, let's go into the topic of, well, I'm titling it the A Fearful Looking of Judgment, because you got people who hung around for a minute and they left. You know, they took their hand off this plow. They forsook the work of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. They may even still claim to know and love the Lord, but you know, we're saved by our faith in our works. So you can have all the faith in the world, but if you don't have those works, you know, that faith is dead, being alone. You know, the Lord is looking for workmen, not Disney princesses sitting in the castle waiting on Prince Charming or Yahweh Shai to come rescue them. We got to be putting in the work to be seen worthy of that salvation, that deliverance. But you got people out here again who think, you know, they can sit on the sidelines and that's going to get them recruited, so to speak. If you're not in the game, don't nobody know you exist. You riding the bench. You ain't got no stats. But you on the team, so to speak. It don't work that way with Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. If you don't put that, we put this covering on our uniform, so to speak. We put this on to get to work. We don't put it on and, you know, not do what's required of us. Like, you go to any job that requires a uniform, they expect you to have that on. They expect you to be at your job post doing whatever it is they're asking you to do. You can't just show up to work, not do nothing and expect to get paid. Same thing goes with Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. You're going to put this covering on, you're going to take up that cross, you got to work. You got to strive for truth. It's things that's required of us. But again, just one more time, man, you got people who let themselves fall by the wayside, man. They look back into this world, or they let carnal affairs drag them back into the world, whatever the case may be. But, you know, they took their hand off of this plow. And that's not acceptable to Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. So, just getting into it, Hebrews 10, and I'm going to start at verse 23. Let us hold fast the profession of our faith without wavering, for he is faithful that promised. And let us consider one another to provoke unto love. I'm going to start over at 24. And let us consider one another to provoke us unto love and to good works, not forsaking the assembling of ourselves together, as the manner of some is, but exhorting one another, and so much more, Salakia, and so much the more as ye see the day approaching. So, just to get it started, we're to hold fast the profession of our faith without wavering, man. You know, we got to serve the Lord diligently in spirit and in truth. You know, we got to be in that SpongeBob mindset, ready to go to work. Every day we wake up, we thinking about laboring for Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. Got to cleave to the things the Lord commanded us to do. And do those things. You know, when Yahweh Shai returns, we want him to find us doing, you know, tending to his house as he commanded us to do. We don't want to be found to be a wicked servant. Because the promises of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai are faithful. They will come to pass to those who are worthy of them. And we do the works to be seen worthy of, you know, to be seen worthy of inheriting these things, being given these things. But you got people out here, I'll say it again, they took their hand off the plow again. The profession, you know, they stopped holding fast the profession of our faith, you know. They might still have that faith, but they're not showing that faith through their works. And that shows a lack of faith right there. Do you really love the Lord? The Lord said if you love him, keep his commandments. If you love him, feed his sheep, so on and so forth. He told us to bear that cross. And these are things that we have to do. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. There's no other way in. The 2/3 don't have a hope for salvation, because they're not serving the Lord in truth and sincerity. But us, having been introduced to the spirit of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, being brought to this, being brought into the workmanship of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, man, we got to take that. We got to take this role seriously, just like you take your job in the world seriously. The same way you paying your bills physically in this world, carnally. We got bills to pay. We got a debt to pay to Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. He got up on that cross to give us that chance of salvation, man. And we got to show our appreciation for that. And we're to consider one another unto love and the good works, man. Provoking each other unto love and the good works, man. And that's where the congregation comes into play. That's why we congregate together. For holy convocation, so on and so forth. And provoking right here, it really just means encouraging. So we encourage each other to continue in that brotherly love and the good works of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. You out here being an individualite, out here trying to thug it by yourself, or you separated from your camp, it's hard to do it by yourself. The Lord got an army, but you over here trying to fight the fight of faith by yourself, man. You ain't got no encouragement. You ain't got no reinforcement. You ain't got no guidance, no leadership. You just in it by yourself, winging it. It takes a really strong individual to be able to do that. But people out here, you see them, they'll be out here for a season, but they won't endure to the end. It gets too hard for them. They fall back. Versus us, of the congregation, man, we got apostles and elders who encourage us, lead us, guide us, motivate us to continue in the works, And it's all through the spirit of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. The scripture says, when 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, there I am amongst them. So when we congregate, man, the spirit of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai is amongst us, and you feel it. You don't get that by yourself. We're not to forsake the assembling of ourselves together. It's when we go out there on the highways and byways and teach, or we just link together, whether it be Passover, whatever case may be, we can't put that to the side for the things of this world, man, because the things of this world are vanity. And a lot of it's folly anyway. Because all we got is each other, our spiritual family. Our carnal families don't mean nothing when it comes to salvation. The Lord came to say one of a household, one of a family, so on and so forth. Man's foes shall be those of his own household. So we can't look at our carnal family as our real family, so to speak. Now, they are our family. We love them, this, that, and the third, but they're not, two can't walk together unless they be agreed. So you can't be able to cut other people off, and especially cut this world off, and, serve Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. Because these things don't matter. The work of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai is all that matters. Hebrews 10:26. For if we sin willfully, after that we have received the knowledge of the truth, there remaineth no more sacrifice for sins, but a certain fearful looking for of judgment and fiery indignation, which shall devour the adversaries. So, going back into this world after receiving knowledge of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, like a dog returning to your own vomit, going back to your former ways. After the Lord that made you a new creature, you revert back to your that former person, man. Then there's no more covering. There's no more, Yahweh shall not get back on that cross. You gonna have to wear that. And that's how people be feeling. And you got 2/3 of our people, they know if the judgment's coming to this place to some degree, they're choosing the wrong paths altogether. But you got people out here that been introduced to the spirit. They walk with the Lord for a season and then turn back to the world like it wasn't their cup of tea or something. They did, the shoe didn't fit, or the persecution, the trials and tribulations, that cross got too heavy for them. But a certain fearful looking for of judgment and fiery indignation, which shall devour the adversaries, man. That's all they have to look forward to, man. And we're trying to escape fiery indignation and judgment. These are the things we're trying to escape, man. We're going to do that by following Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. He who endure to the end shall be saved, man. So we got to endure these things, man. Ask Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua for the strength, wisdom, patience, and everything else we need to, continue in our walk. Continue fighting the fight of faith. We don't want to be seen as adversaries to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua. And if you have your hand on this plow, you take your hand off of this plow, that's you trying to be friends with the Lord, but then joining the other team. You going back into the world. A friend of this world is enmity with Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua. And we don't want to have any hatred towards the Lord, whether it be consciously or subconsciously. That all we ask the Lord to continue purging us with that hyssop, continue to make us clean. And, when times get hard, we cleave to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua. We don't forsake him and go back to the world, because the world only going to lead you further down the path of destruction and wickedness. And now you don't have a comforter. Now you don't have a leader, a shepherd. You don't have any protection. You just out there to be devoured by the creatures of the night. The wolves, the lions, and everything else in the thick is waiting on you. Because that hedge of protection of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua no longer around about you. You ain't doing nothing to deserve that. You're not walking with the Lord. You got lost in the world again. Lost sight of the light. And these people even try to come hang out and do all these things. That's cool, It's not that we have any animosity towards them, but, they not fighting with us anymore. So, we rap with them and we cool with them and all that. But as far as this truth goes, man, I don't know you anymore. Luke 9:62, and Yahweh Shai said unto him, no man, having put his hand on the plow and looking back, is fit for the kingdom of Yahweh. That's pretty self-explanatory, man. You put your hand to work in the name of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua, and you go back and you forsake the work. You go back to this world. You're not fit for the kingdom of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua, man. You got judgment coming your way. So we're to keep that in mind. We can't even allow ourselves to lose focus for a second. We gotta be on ourselves. Force ourselves, and it's this flesh that we're in, man. We gotta force this flesh to stay in line with the spirit. We can't revert back to our old ways. And you got people in these churches, they feel like they did enough for the Lord after a certain period of time, like they can retire from this. Ain't no retirement. If Yahweh Shai don't crack that sky open and say come up hither, we got work to do. Even during Jacob's trouble, we gonna have work to do. We gonna be performing miracles and this, that, and the third, man. But anybody who joins hands with Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua and they snatch their hand back and they turn around and walk away from the Lord, they're not worthy of the kingdom. They're gonna have to receive that judgment. They're gonna have to be born into the kingdom through the loins of the elect. Matthew 10:38. He not taketh his cross. This still Yahushua speaking, by the way. Matthew 10:38 again. And he that taketh not his cross and followeth after me is not worthy of me. He that findeth his life shall lose it. And he that loseth his life for my sake shall find it. He that receiveth you receiveth me. And he that receiveth me receiveth him that sent me. So we have to take up this cross and follow after Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua. We got to take on the burdens, afflictions, and everything that comes with serving the Lord, man. This is how we show our faith to him. Because the Lord is you say you love the Lord going to try that. And not everybody, many are called, few are chosen. That's why you have people that come join this truth, but they fall out. Because that cross get too heavy for them. They don't have the strength to be able to, bear it. And the Lord's yoke is easy. His burden is light, man. But you got to trust in him. He's not going to put nothing on you that you can't bear. These people just going back in the world because they want to. At the end of the day, they prefer the wide gate, broad way, because there's, they rather comfort themselves carnally than afflict that flesh. Because the spirit is willing, the flesh is weak. So we got to stay spiritually minded. Because we put that cross down, we not worthy of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua. He that findeth his life shall lose it. These people go back into the world trying to find, love, security, whatever it may be, they might, want to revert back to their former ways, whatever that may be. But they losing their life. They trying to save themselves carnally, but they're going to lose it by trying to do so. Versus us. He that loses his life for my sake shall find it. We cut off this world. We disconnected ourselves from this world. We became spiritually circumcised. We cut off the lust of the flesh and our carnal desires. All we want to do is please Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. That's our sole purpose for being here. To fear the Lord, keep his commandments. And keeping our hand on that plow. So, we might lose out on some of the things of this world. You might miss out on events. We don't partake in the folly days. And all these things, the world looks at us as scum. However you want to, But we found the path to eternal life. We've been led to it through the spirit of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. And we got to walk down that path, man. Because there ain't no turning back. The scripture says it's worse for somebody who just didn't know than somebody who did know. That person who didn't know gonna be beat with few lashes. But that person who knew better, they should have did better. So the Lord gonna beat them with many lashes. He gonna torment them. And you don't want that for yourself, man. You want to receive grace and mercy from Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, not wrath and indignation, man. The Lord chastises those he loves. Scourge every son he receiveth. Why? Because he's purging us of our former ways, our filth, our wickedness, and making us more like him, righteous. He that receiveth you receive Matthew 10:40. He that receiveth you receiveth me. He that receiveth me receiveth him that sent me. So us being the prophets of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, we speak his words. We trying to pass the light on. Each one, reach one, teach one. Because if they're receiving us, they're receiving Yahweh Shai. The one who paved the path of righteousness for us to walk. That straight gate, that narrow way. And if they're receiving Yahweh Shai, they're receiving Yahweh. And that's who you want grace and mercy from. Yahweh Shai is just that mediator, your lawyer, so to speak. He's gonna plead on our that's what we want. We want Yahweh Shai to plead to Yahweh on our behalf. Hey, this one of mine. Don't, he worthy of grace and mercy. Don't pour out no judgment on him, man. He did the best he could to serve me in truth and sincerity. That's what we want. We want Yahweh Shai, to look at us as brethren. When Yahweh looks at us, we want him to see the covering of Yahweh Shai on us. And that's what we go in the highways and byways to do, man, to lead the sheep back to Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. And if you take your hand off of that plow, man, you're not feeding the Lord's sheep. You don't love them. You go back in this world, that shows enmity towards Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. You don't want to do this work. And that's what it is. That's another reason you got people that fall out of the truth, man. They'll hear it, they'll be with it, this, that, and the third, but they won't take root in it for themselves. They think it's like the Christian church where you just tap in once a week or whatever the case may be. They're showing face, but they're not doing the things necessary to become rooted in Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. So when their faith gets tested and tried, they can't stand firm. And that's pretty much it, man. And the work goes beyond just going out in the highways and byways teaching. You got to study to show yourself approved. The Lord is found in the book. It's written of him. So you want to connect with Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, you need to be reading. You need to be watching videos. And that's also part of the work, man. You stop doing that, man. The Lord looking at you like, hey, man, you done dropped off, You used to be one of my top performers. You slacking. And then you just stop performing altogether. You become a sluggard. Proverbs 6:6. Go to the ant, thou sluggard. Consider her ways and be wise, which having no guide, overseer, or ruler, provideth her meat in the summer and gathereth her food in the harvest. Ants don't need nobody to tell them we need to be getting this food, we need to be building, we need to be da 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 da. As soon as they anthill get kicked over, they get to work. They already at work gathering food for the winter. And we're doing the same thing spiritually, man. We're building ourselves up in Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, taking in the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, learning of the secrets of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, doing everything to prepare ourselves for the Yahweh Shai's return. Because when Jacob's trouble kicks off, we want our faith to be on point. We want to have the wisdom to know that the will of the Lord is coming to pass. We want to be trained up so we can endure. We want to be spiritually empowered to be able to withstand the evil day. We want to have our armor on. We're preparing for the big fight. The final test. In school how they have the end of year exams or whatever the case may be. Intern, like in college they call them end of term exams or whatever the case may be, whatever they call them now. That's what we're preparing for, the final test. Just like those ants, they work all summer preparing for winter. We're working during this grace period to prepare for Jacob's trouble and Yahweh Shai's return, man. And if you're not doing so, man, you're trapped in a snare in this world. You're not focused. Your faith is wavering. 1 second, Salakia. And again, Salakia one more time. But again, the Lord's not looking for those type of individuals, man. He wants you to stand firm. Whether, be in season or out of season, whether it's cool or not to serve the Lord, whether, the actual seasons of nature, summer, winter, fall, it doesn't matter if it's too hot, it doesn't matter if it's too cold. We go out, prophesy the downfall of this place, and telling our people to repent. If you're not doing that, man, you don't have a claim to fame, so to speak. But that's pretty much it. So Yahweh Rock the Zah, this lesson was edifying, and until the next time, I'm going to say shalom.